Hello, I'm Jerry Scheidbach, pastor at the Lighthouse Baptist Church and your brain masseur. Okay, the 11th GOP debate should have settled it for every genuine conservative. If what you want for president is a stylish quip master, vote for Rubio. That yoga quip was clever. And hey, he dances around Big Bully Trump like Cassius Clay danced around Big Joe. If you want a bombastic blowhard bully con artist for president, vote for Trump. If you want someone who would make a great Secretary of State, this fella has a good grasp on foreign affairs, but he's weak on constitutional issues and domestic concerns, well, you can vote for Kasich. But hands down, and I agree with Rush on this one, hands down on substance, on broad knowledge, covering all of the issues of concern to us with detailed plans, well thought out plans that will work. Well, there's no question there's one man who has the stuff to lead us out of this morass, and that is Ted Cruz, baby. It's Ted Cruz all the way. He said, quote, "I understand the folks who are supporting Donald right now. You're angry. You're angry at Washington, and he uses angry rhetoric. But for 40 years, Donald has been part of the corruption in Washington that you're angry about," end quote. That was beautiful. That is right on, and that is true. And he went on to say, quote, "You're not going to stop the corruption in Washington by supporting someone who has supported liberal Democrats for 4 decades, Jimmy Carter, to John Kerry, to Hillary Clinton. You're not going to stop the corruption and cronyism by supporting someone who has used government power for private gain. Instead, we need a president who stands with the American people." Hear, hear. Trump, of course, comes off with all, quote, "All of a sudden, I hear for 40 years I've been involved in Washington." Well, yeah, that's right, Mr. Trump. As a matter of fact, you were a Washington insider during the Clinton years. And when Trump goes on and on about how he has supported politicians on all sides, Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives, and he says he did this because, he says, quote, "I wasn't a politician," end quote, at that time. And all of this, he did it for business reasons, he tells us. Now think about that, without saying it, in so many words, he's saying that he supported these politicians for his business interests. What? He was buying favor with the politicians, and he admits this? And so many of you were okay with that? Really? Since when are conservatives okay with political corruption? When did that happen? But Cruz did not let the Donald get away with his dodge when Kelly directed the question to immigration and brought out the mystifying fact that Sessions has endorsed Trump. That confuses me. Kelly asks, quote, "If voters want Jeff Sessions-style immigration policies, isn't their choice rather clear," end quote? Obviously suggesting Trump would be their choice in that case. I loved Cruz's response. He said, quote, "Yes, their choice is very clear if you look to the actual record." Oh yeah, I could hear the angels singing, hallelujah. And then he laid it on Trump. And anyone who has any sense at all should have seen that he had Trump in the corner, actually ducking into the blows, Cruz says. Quote, "Donald mentioned a moment ago that he was just doing business when he was writing checks to liberal Democrats. But that's not, in fact, the checks he was writing." And he continued, quote, "Listen, we could all understand if you write a check to a city commission because you're looking for a zoning waiver on building a building. That may be corrupt, but you could understand real estate developers doing that." Oh man, if you have ears to hear, that was a great, great point. Good shot. Excellent. That is corruption, and Trump effectively confesses to it on national television. Buying politicians for political favors is corruption, Cruz went on, explaining that, however, Donald's contributions show a pattern of support for Democrats that goes past personal and professional interests all the way over into political affinity. He gives examples. Donald Trump, he said, quote, supported Jimmy Carter over Ronald Reagan. Donald supported John Kerry over George W. Bush. If you don't like Obamacare, Donald Trump funded Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi taking over Congress to pass Obamacare, end quote. And here's another question that I have for Ducking Donald. If you bought these politicians for professional and personal gain, what did they do for you for the money you gave them? Cruz continued, quote, on immigration, if you don't like amnesty, if you don't like the Gang of Eight, well, Donald Trump funded 5 of the 8 members of the Gang of Eight $50,000, end quote. So if he did not like their politics, but wanted to establish some favors with these politicians, what were the favors he hoped to get? What did he buy? And doesn't this tell you, doesn't this scream into your face that Donald Trump will compromise his convictions and his political ideology for a buck? Won't he? Are you listening? He is everything you say you despise in politics today. He is the embodiment of political corruption. Then he took it to the glass jaw. Cruz says, and let's talk about this election. The choice Republican primary voters are making is who is best prepared to stand up to Hillary Clinton and beat Hillary Clinton. Donald Trump has written checks to Hillary Clinton not once, not twice, not 3 times, 10 times. And 4 of those checks were not to her Senate campaign. It wasn't that she was the New York senator and it was a cost of doing business. It was to her presidential campaign. Donald Trump in 2008 wrote 4 checks to Hillary Clinton as president. Cruz then addresses the Donald directly. So, I'd like to ask Donald, why did you write checks to Hillary Clinton to be president in 2008? It wasn't for business. And how can you stand on a debate stage now with her and say you don't think she should be president, end quote? And the Donald comes back with, he said, actually, it was for business. It was for business. Unbelievable. On the national stage, the candidate many of you are excited about supporting admits to buying politicians for personal and professional gain. And then he tells us that he is right now engaged in 120 deals outside the United States, international deals, and that he intends to turn all of this over to his kids while he's president. Is anybody listening to him? Now let's see here. He has openly admitted that he buys politicians for professional favors to help his business interests. And now he tells us his kids are going to have their dad in the office of president while they're working on 120 international deals. Wow, you're getting scammed, America. You need to wake up. God complained that America had set up kings, but not by me, he said in Hosea 8, verse 4. Certainly God gave to Israel the power to appoint their rulers, but they were expected to follow biblical guidelines when choosing a leader. Likewise, God has given us the power to appoint our rulers, but he requires us to appoint those that he would approve of. Now, who do you think that is in this election? If we continue to abuse the right and privilege God has given us, we're going to lose it. And just like Judah, we'll be turned over to the power of oppressors. And that's something you need to think about as you go into the election of 2016.